All right, so let's jump right in. We're tackling a massive question today. If there's some kind of truth out there, beyond our own heads, what our source material calls the unconditioned, how on earth would we ever know it was the real deal? How could we possibly recognize its voice and not just, our own imagination? Let's get into it.
I mean, we've all had those moments, right? A gut feeling, a sudden flash of insight, maybe this overwhelming sense of peace or purpose. But what is that really? Is it just brain chemistry? A bit of wishful thinking? Well, the source we're digging into today actually lays out a super rigorous set of criteria to put any of those claims to the test. And this slide right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the problem. Are we hearing a genuine voice from outside ourselves? Or are we just hearing the echo of our own hopes, our own fears, bouncing around inside our own heads? To tell the difference, we need a filter. We need a test.
So our source starts by building what it calls a reality test. Think of these as the first two big filters that any message has to pass through just to be considered. These are designed to nail any claim down to the real world.
Okay, first up, the speech has to be historical. This means it can't be some timeless, floaty, mystical feeling. It has to be an actual event, something that happened at a specific time and in a specific place, something you can literally point to and say it happened there, then, and actually investigate.
And this quote, this is the key to why that first rule matters so much. It's not about being historical just for the sake of it. The real issue is accountability. If you can't meet a claim in the real world, in time and space, you can't challenge it, you can't question it, and ultimately it can't really hold you accountable either.
So it all boils down to this difference. On one side, you have a solid, confrontable event out in the open, and on the other, you have a private, totally unverifiable mood or experience. Historical events can be investigated and even rejected. A personal feeling? Not so much. And that single difference, well, that's everything.
Now for the second part of this reality test, and it builds right on top of the first one. The voice, or the speech, must be addressable. What does that mean? It means it has to be something you can actually engage with, almost like you would a person. You can't just sense it in the wind or feel it in a pretty sunset. You have to be able to meet it and ask it questions.
And the source makes a really fascinating point here. Things like your conscience or that sense of awe you get from nature. Some people call that general revelation. And yeah, that stuff can point you in a direction, maybe make you feel a little uneasy. But if you go out and shout a question at the stars, they don't answer back, do they? The argument here is if something can't answer you, it can't really demand an answer from you. Okay, so let's say a potential message passes that first big hurdle, the reality test. It's historical and it's addressable. We then move on to the next stage, the personal test. This is all about figuring out if the message has any real claim on you, personally.
Criterion number 3 is that the speech has to be directed. It can't just be some general law of the universe or a philosophical truth that applies to everybody in general and nobody in particular. Nope, it has to be personal. It has to single you out. It has to be meant for you.
And this slide just nails the difference. Think about it. You can know a general truth, like the sky is blue, and it doesn't really change your day. It just is. You can ignore it if you want. But if a voice speaks your name, if it says you, well, that changes everything, doesn't it? You can't just ignore that. It feels like you're breaking a relationship.
This brings us to our final criterion, and honestly, it's maybe the trickiest one, because it starts with this paradox. If this voice from the unconditioned is so blindingly obvious that it's like a math equation, well, then you have no freedom. You're forced to believe. But if it's too vague and misty, you have no real responsibility to believe either. So what's the answer?
The answer is in this really delicate balance. The speech has to be clear enough, recognizable enough, that you're obligated to deal with it. You can't just honestly walk away and say, I didn't see anything. But at the same time, it has to be hidden enough, veiled enough, that belief still requires a choice, a leap of trust. It doesn't force you, it invites you.
And the source wraps up this point with this incredibly powerful, almost haunting line. The recognizability of the message isn't just about the message itself. It's also about the person listening. It's clear, for the person who has stopped running away and is actually willing to look.
So after going through all of this, we haven't actually landed on an answer. What we've done is build a toolkit. We've put together this really rigorous 4-part filter for figuring out what a genuine voice from the unconditioned would even have to look like.
So here it is, our 4-point test, all in one place. It's got to be 1. Historically anchored, so it's accountable. 2.
addressable, so you can actually question it. 3. Personally directed, so it's meant for you. And 4. It has to be recognizable enough to obligate you, but hidden enough that it doesn't coerce you.
And this brings us to the final thought, the big takeaway from all of this. Once you have these criteria in your hand, the whole nature of the question changes. It's not some abstract philosophical debate anymore.
It becomes a concrete historical question. Has anything, anywhere in human history, ever actually fit all 4 of these criteria? The source material gives us the test, but it leaves the investigation up to us. And that's the question we'll leave you with today. Thanks for watching.